Okay, so came in the greenhouse this morning and heard all types of noises the pump was making in my compost tea, and turns out that so here's what I did. I want to go I want to operate on the idea of not stopping my compost tea. So I want to go and just do constant compost tea. So what I did yesterday is I harvested a bunch of compost tea, probably about half of what was in here, and I refilled it with water and added a little more grandma's molasses, and I was hoping to kind of keep this thing going. And turns out there is so much bacteria that it jammed up the holes I drilled in the PVC. And look at the pump. That's just colonies and colonies of bacteria just going crazy. So I need to get this cleaned up here real quick. Let me see what I can do. So I'm just having one of those moments where you hope that this stuff won't kill you. You get it in your mouth, tastes real nasty, and you hope that that's not the type of bacteria that's going to kill you. But anyway, so I got this all cleaned up. What I basically did is I drilled bigger holes. So you see these holes right here are all clogged up. So I got these bigger holes here on the side, and so my hopes are I want to see if that's going to be the right adjustment. Like I'm trying to get the right adjustment in between, you know, how much air it's letting in versus versus water to just get a really good bubbling sensation. So anyway, she's back going. So my lesson learned here for the moment is I need to empty out this thing probably on a daily basis, which really isn't bad. I have a lot of planting to do, so it makes sense I should just be spreading this all over the garden on a daily basis. So I got to think about what it's going to do to my chore list to add this to a daily watering certain portions of the ground I'm preparing for the garden this year. So anyway, just wanted to share that. So yeah, so you can keep your compost tea running constantly. It just means you're going to have to really be up on emptying it. So I think what I'm going to do in one of my aquaponics setups, I have it draining into where I'm going to be putting in the garden this year, and I want to set it up so it actually drains into some bamboo walls that I'm putting up. So my thoughts here are I'll probably set up the aquaponic drain to fill into a cistern or just a bucket like this, and have the compost tea running constantly but automatically drain into the garden. So what I'll do is just go up each day and just turn on the drain to completely drain the compost tea into the garden and the bamboo, and then let it fill up again for the next day. So I don't know. So I'm kind of thinking here, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do, and so maybe each day it drains into a different bed. So that's something that we could automate down the road, and have it set up on some sort of a timer. But anyway, just thought I'd share that experiment here in compost tea. Okay, so here I am. I'm changing this guy out, and basically I've got a new bucket of water here, and I've got the pump going here, and see she's bubbling and gurgling and doing all this great stuff. But anyway, so I'm swapping it out. Got my fresh bucket of koi water here. Excuse me, guys. It is spring, and the pollen is out, and I think winter is finally gone. So we're getting busy. But anyway, that's my allergies. I pulled the pump out of here, and if you notice, all this bacterial slime over everything. So I'm going to go ahead and let that keep going. I was kind of trying to see how many times I could swap these out and keep going with the same pile of compost. And this is probably about the third time I'm just, flipping the pump into a different bucket with the same thing of compost. And let me show you what happened here. But this is my... This is the composting bin. This is the bin that I put the compost in. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but there is there has to be a 1/4 inch, or maybe a little less, of bacterial slime all over this thing. I mean, you can't even tell this is Tupperware on the side because there's just so much of a bacterial colony growing on it. Now the challenge is, I don't know if this is the good or bad bacteria. I'm guessing it's the good anaerobic bacteria, because I guess if you look real close, you can see air bubbles all down in here. So all down throughout this slime is air bubbles. It kind of gives you that impression that whatever there, it needs air, it needs oxygen. It's you know, thriving on oxygen and creating oxygen and using it, and you know. But anyway, that might be where it got the name anaerobic from. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. But anyway, I just found that extremely interesting. It seems that I've either done one of two things. I've created a super colony of anaerobic bacteria, and they're just, you know, cranking out compost tea buckets in a very short period of time, because it's not a few anaerobic bacteria from a compost bin. It's a whole colony that's growing on this. Or I've created bacterial slime, which should just be horribly bad for the plants. And I don't know. So if one of you guys knows more about this, or knows someone with some scientific know-how, I'd certainly like to know what I created. But the great thing is I know I can do it again if this is a good thing. I'm going to err on the side of caution. I'm actually going to just clean this off and grab some new compost and start all over. But I'd like to know if this is a good thing. If it's a good thing, I'm going to keep going with it. I think someone said if it smells bad, then it's the bad bacteria. You know, I don't know that bad bacteria stinks and good bacteria smells good, but I can tell you it still smells sweet, and I'm sure that has to do with the molasses. But it doesn't smell rank. It, you know, it isn't foul or anything. So, but anyway, that's what I did. Not sure if it's a good thing. I wish somebody let me know. But in the meantime, I'm gonna start a fresh bucket. And one last thing, guys. So I'm not ready to use this stuff yet. So got a little work to do outside. I'm trying to get the solar panel tracking actuators all working right. So in the meantime, I just came out here to the raft system and borrowed some tubing from the air stone. So just going to keep these alive. So, you know, what I've seen in aquaponics is that, you know, the anaerobic bacteria that live in your rocks, they die pretty quickly. So they need water and they need oxygen. And if they don't have that oxygen down in here in this bucket, while I'm waiting about 2 or 3 hours before I go put it on the garden, they'll be dead. And right now, I really don't know if they have to be alive in the soil, or if they're just dead when they go in the soil and they feed things in the soil. But I think what one of your videos showed was that you want to keep them alive right up to the point where you put them in the soil. So I'm going to keep them alive, keep this aerator stone going for a few hours. Got a few other things to do outside before I go over to the other garden. When I do that, I'm going to go ahead and take the air stone out and pour it on the garden and some of the other plants. But yeah, just wanted to share that. You always want to keep oxygen in your compost too.